Russia is currently experiencing internal turmoil due to mutiny and mistakes, which may have significant implications for the ongoing conflict with Ukraine. While seismic shifts in Moscow would typically lead to similar earthquakes along the front lines in Ukraine, Ukraine has not capitalized on this situation. This article explores Russia's recent developments and potential opportunities for Ukraine and its NATO allies. Opportunities for Russia's enemies. The weekend events have opened up opportunities that Russia's adversaries must carefully exploit. Ukraine and its NATO allies are now urgently assessing the situation to determine how they can leverage Russian weaknesses to their advantage. However, this assessment must be approached cautiously to avoid rushing into mistakes. Exploiting Russia's vulnerabilities requires meticulous planning and a thorough understanding of the evolving landscape. Ukraine's leaders must consider the timing of their counteroffensive, taking into account the mistakes Russia is currently making. Impact on Russian military morale. One significant consequence of the failed insurrection is its radical impact on Russian military morale. Soldiers stationed in the trenches are often isolated from external news sources to prevent the leakage of sensitive information to Ukrainian spies. Nevertheless, news of the mutiny will eventually reach them, causing shock and disbelief. The fact that a prominent military figure within Russia took up arms against the conduct of the war and supply shortages is likely to have a profound effect on the morale of troops. Ukraine's strategy to force difficult choices. Ukraine's counteroffensive strategy has always been centered around pushing Russia to make difficult choices on the battlefield. The objective is to wear down Russian defenses until a concerted Ukrainian push, utilizing its reserves, can break through. The recent internal crisis in Russia following the failed insurrection places Russian decision-makers in a precarious position. Their already flawed decision-making processes are likely to worsen, allowing Ukraine to force strategic errors from Moscow. Assessing the fallout and potential consequences. While Ukraine is in a position to capitalize on Russia's mistakes, it must exercise caution and assess the fallout from recent events. The ramifications of Russia's internal turmoil are still unfolding, and Kyiv and its allies must clearly understand the situation before making any moves. Putin's position may deteriorate further, or an earthquake on the battlefield could inadvertently rally Moscow's elite around him to prevent an existential defeat for Russia in Ukraine. The risk of unintended consequences during this period of turmoil is significant, and Ukraine must carefully strategize its next steps. Conclusion. As Russia grapples with mutiny and mistakes, Ukraine and its NATO allies have a unique opportunity to exploit the emerging weaknesses. The recent internal crisis in Russia has damaged Russian military morale and exposed the visible weakness of its commander-in-chief. Ukraine's counteroffensive strategy aims to force strategic errors from Moscow and break through Russian defenses. However, Ukraine must carefully evaluate the fallout and potential consequences before launching its next move. By capitalizing on Russia's mistakes, Ukraine can seize the initiative and create a crisis for Russia that surpasses the significance of recent events.